Have you ever felt that surge of adrenaline when the last truck leaves the site and the bridge finally opens to traffic? For most civil engineers, that is the moment of victory. The instinct is to pack up the trailers and move the crew to the next billable project immediately. However, in the world of professional project management, this is exactly where the closing trap is set. We must distinguish between physical completion and project completion. The PMI reality is that a project is not finished just because the concrete is dry. Closing requires a rigorous, formal administrative sequence that ensures every loose end is tied. Why does this matter so much? Because when we skip formal closure, we enter the danger zone. We effectively destroy organizational knowledge by not recording what happened, and, more importantly, we expose our firm to severe post-project liability and insurance risks. For those preparing for certification, you must adopt a specific exam mindset. Never release your team or close the books until the formal closure sequence is fully executed and archived. The closing process group is the final gatekeeper. It formally establishes that the project, phase, or contract is complete, verifying that every process across all other process groups has been properly executed. Think of it as the final audit that protects the project's legacy. Now let's look at the specific process that governs this final stage. What if I told you that the most important part of finishing a multi-million-dollar infrastructure project was a single administrative process? Under the PMI framework, close project or phase is the only process within the closing process group. While it is singular in the manual, organizations often add their own tailored steps to fit local regulations or specific engineering standards. During this stage, the project manager conducts a comprehensive review of every single component of the project management plan. You are checking to ensure that every objective, from safety targets to quality benchmarks, has been successfully met. It's not enough to say the work is done, you must prove it against the original plan. This leads to the archival mandate. All project and phase information must be formally moved into the organization's historical repository. This isn't just filing paperwork, it is building the company's library of experience. The most critical rule here involves resource liberation. Organizational team resources, your specialized engineers, site leads, and equipment, are finally released only after all documentation is secured. The key benefit of doing this correctly is that it allows these resources to be transitioned to new endeavors cleanly, without the ghosts of the previous project haunting them. But to start this process, we need specific inputs, which we'll examine next. Imagine a pipeline where the end of the line is the handover of a new highway. What materials need to be in that pipeline for the closing process to actually function? First and foremost, we have accepted deliverables. These are the verified outputs that have already signed off by the client during the validate scope process. It is vital to understand this insight line. Closing does not create the deliverables, it inherits them. If the client hasn't formally accepted the work yet, you aren't in closing, you are still in monitoring and controlling. Next, we look at project documents. There are 12 mandatory logs and registers you need, but the exam emphasizes 3, the issue log, the risk register, and the lessons learned. You are essentially closing these files. We also need agreements and procurement documents. These are the contracts with your vendors and subcontractors that allow you to initiate contractual closure. Finally, we pull in the business documents, specifically the business case and the benefits management plan. We use these as a yardstick to audit whether the project actually achieved the financial and strategic goals it promised at the start. Understanding the difference between these inputs and the final output is key, specifically when it comes to the transition of the asset. One of the most common mistakes on the PMP exam and in the field is confusing accepted deliverables with final product transition. Let's clear that up right now. Think of the accepted deliverable as the physical bridge that has been inspected and signed off. That is your input. The final product transition is the act of handing over the keys and the maintenance manuals to the municipality. That is your output. You cannot transition a facility that has not been formally accepted. If you find yourself still arguing with a client about the quality of the pavement during the closing phase, you have made a sequencing error. In PMI thinking, the client already accepted those deliverables back in the validate scope process. Closing is simply the formal, permanent operational handover. Here is an exam tip to keep in mind. If a question asks what happens to accepted deliverables during closing, the answer is always that they are transitioned to operations or to the next project phase. Don't fall into the wrong thinking of believing closing is your last chance to get a signature on the work itself. That signature should already be in your hand. This transition is backed by rigorous data, which is our next topic. When we talk about closing, many people think of a dusty file cabinet, but in professional project management, closing is a rigorous analytical phase. We don't just finish, we measure how we finished using objective metrics. This is how we audit the project's performance against the original baseline. First, we perform variance analysis. For a highway project, this means mathematically comparing your planned budget and schedule against what actually happened. Did you spend 10% more on steel? Why? Next, we use trend and regression analysis. This is where we look for systemic patterns. For example, did productivity drop every time there was a shift in subcontractors? Regression analysis helps us understand which variables truly impacted our project's success. Finally, we utilize expert judgment and meetings. We bring together the steering committee, the site leads, and key stakeholders for final closeout reviews. This isn't just a farewell party, it's a formal audit. The key concept to remember here is that you are mathematically and logically evaluating the project's life. This analysis is what fuels the final outputs we archive for the company. What is the ultimate legacy of your project? It's found in the archived outputs of the closing process. First, we have the final product transition. This is the moment the infrastructure asset, be it a dam, a road, or a treatment plant, is physically handed over to the operator or the next phase. Next, we have project document updates. We must ensure the lessons learned register is finalized. If you wait until the next project starts to write down what went wrong on this one, you've already lost the data. This feeds into the final report. This is a high-level, comprehensive summary that details how the project performed in terms of scope, quality, schedule, and cost. It's the final grade for the project. Finally, we have OPA updates, organizational process assets. By archiving these files, they become part of your firm's intelligence for future infrastructure bids. Remember this insight line. The goal of closing is to make your organization smarter. Today's project outputs become the critical inputs for the next project's planning phase. Now, let's distinguish between the two different types of closure that happen simultaneously. In a complex civil engineering project, closure happens on two distinct tracks, administrative and contractual. Administrative closure is focused on the relationship between you and your client or your internal organization. It involves confirming formal acceptance by the customer, reallocating your company's facilities, and writing those final reports. It looks at the project as one unified whole. Contractual closure, on the other hand, is much more granular. This is where you deal with your vendors and subcontractors. You must confirm that the seller's work was accepted, finalize any open claims, which can be a major headache in construction, and definitively close out every single invoice. The critical overlap between these two is the mandate to update and archive records. While administrative closure happens once for the project, contractual closure must be systematically repeated for every single procurement and subcontractor agreement you signed. You haven't finished the project until every vendor's account is at zero. This leads us to the most sensitive part of closing. When do people get to leave? One of the hardest things for a project manager to do is hold on to their team when the physical work is done. There is immense pressure from the front office to release expensive engineers to new billable projects the moment the last bolt is tightened. But releasing your team too early is a major mistake. If your core team leaves before the administrative work is done, your final report, variance analysis, and lessons learned will be inaccurate or completely missing. The rule is simple. Releasing organizational team resources and reallocating facilities is the absolute final step in the closing process. In PMI thinking, you must hold that core team until the financial audits and knowledge transfers are 100% complete. Here is a vital exam tip. In any sequencing or scenario question, if you see the options reassign personnel or release the team, that is almost always the very last action in the project lifecycle. You don't let the experts walk away until the knowledge is safely in the vault. But what happens if the project doesn't even make it to the finish line? What happens if the funding is cut or the project is canceled halfway through? Does the project manager just walk away? Absolutely not. Under PMI standards, the complete close project or phase process applies equally to projects that are aborted, canceled, or indefinitely suspended. The project manager must investigate and document the specific reasons for the early termination. Was it a change in government? A technical failure? This documentation is critical for the firm's legal protection. You also need to engage all proper stakeholders to manage the political fallout, and in heavy civil projects, to physically secure the site so it isn't a safety hazard. Remember this insight line: a canceled project is not a deleted project. Even a failure generates highly valuable lessons learned and data that must be archived as an OPA. The professional PM closes a failure with the exact same rigor as a success. This creates a loop of continuous improvement, which we will visualize next. Let's visualize the continuous closing loop. It isn't just a single signature on a piece of paper. It's a structured, four-step drawdown of the project's footprint. Step 1 is to verify scope. You are ensuring that every single exit criterion for the phase or project has been satisfied. Step 2 is to formalize the handover. This is the final product transition where the results move to operations. Step 3 is where many construction projects get messy: reconciling finances. You have to finalize those open claims, close the accounts, and, importantly, formally deal with any excess project material left on site. Finally, Step 4 is audit and archive. This is where you manage knowledge transfer and store project info. This loop ensures that the drawdown of risk, liability, vendor contracts, and human resources happens in a logical order. To test your understanding of this logic, let's look at a realistic exam scenario. Let's look at a classic sequencing question you might see on an exam. Imagine you're managing a $400 million water treatment plant. You have just received formal acceptance from the municipality. Your lead mechanical engineer, who is highly sought after, asks to be reassigned to a new dam project immediately. What do you do first? Option A is to approve the reassignment to help the company. Option B is to update the lessons learned and finalize the report. Option C is to begin validate scope. And Option D is to initiate the closing process. The correct answer is B. Why? Well, Option C is wrong because formal acceptance means validate scope has already happened. Option D is too vague. Initiating a process group doesn't tell us the specific action. Between A and B, remember our rule. Releasing resources is strictly the last step. The project manager must ensure administrative duties, like capturing that engineer's knowledge in the lessons learned, are done before they leave. Never let the talent walk out the door until the paperwork is finished. Now, let's look at a scenario involving a project that gets cut short. Here is another scenario, this time focused on early termination. You are 6 months into a massive rail expansion when the government suddenly pulls all funding. Your project sponsor, frustrated, orders you to abandon the site immediately and move your team to a highway project. What is your best course of action? Option A says, follow the directive and move. Option B says engage stakeholders to investigate and document the reasons for termination. Option C is to try and find alternative funding, and option D is to perform a variance analysis. The correct answer is B. While your sponsor is authoritative, the PMBOK requirement is that every project must be formally closed. You cannot simply abandon a site. Doing so leaves the firm open to liability. You must establish the procedures for termination, document why it happened, and ensure the site is secured. Even if the project is a failure, the closing process remains mandatory. This brings us back to the concept of the real ROI of a project. In heavy civil engineering, we often think the return on investment is the physical structure we built. But for a professional organization, the real ROI is knowledge transfer. This starts with auditing both success and failure. We need a data-driven analysis of what went right and, more importantly, what went wrong. The Lessons Learned Register is not optional. It is a mandatory prerequisite for closing. We also archive our files to update our organizational process assets. Why? So that the next time the firm bids on a bridge or a tunnel, our estimating baselines and risk models are more accurate. We also measure stakeholder satisfaction. This permanently closes the communication loop and ensures that our reputation remains intact for future contracts. Remember this insight line. The most valuable deliverable of any heavy civil project isn't just the concrete you poured, it's the intelligence you gathered for the next bid. Let's contrast this professional approach with some common shortcuts seen on job sites. If you've spent time on a construction site, you've seen site shortcuts. Maybe it's leaving a pile of excess gravel for the client to deal with, or letting a subcontractor walk away with a simple handshake once the work looks good enough. While these are common traditions, they are the opposite of the PMI process. The formal PMBOK process requires that you deal with every scrap of excess material and meticulously reallocate every piece of equipment and facility. You don't just let vendors walk. You confirm formal acceptance of their work in writing. You finalize every open claim, and you execute a definitive contractual closure. The key concept here is for your exam, the PMP exclusively tests your adherence to these strict, formal processes. Never assume that how we've always done it on site is the correct answer on the test. Documented compliance is your only path to success. As we wrap up, let's look at the key memory anchors for the closing process. To ensure you have mastered the closing process group, let's lock in these memory anchors. First, the prerequisite. You cannot start closing until the scope has been validated and the client has given formal acceptance. Second, remember the core flow. Your accepted deliverables go into the process as an input, and the final product transition comes out as the output. Third, the early end. If a project is aborted or canceled, you still perform the full closing sequence. No exceptions. Finally, remember the final act. Reassigning personnel and releasing the project team is the absolute last thing you do in the entire project lifecycle. Our ultimate takeaway is this. Analyze first, document always. A project is not finished when the traffic starts moving. It is finished when the vault is sealed, the OPAs are updated, and the final report is signed. Professionalism in closing is what separates a one-time builder from a world-class project manager.